You need the discipline, the structures, the boundaries, and you need that connection to that higher self. These two together will take you any and everywhere in this life. Hello my loves, welcome back. So in today's video, we are talking about Saturn stationing direct. So Saturn is going to station direct on November 15th, and we are going to have a quick look at what this means for your rising sign, but also what this means for the collective. Well, first, we have to look at where we're coming from. We are coming from the retrograde. What's a retrograde? A retrograde is an inward motion. A retrograde is an inward journey, clearing the inner world, restructuring, in this case, our inner world, because we're talking about Saturn, the structures and boundaries of lives. We are clearing the structures, we are restructuring, and we look at the boundaries and see if they're serving us. And if they're not serving us, we reset them in the way that works for us. Now, since Saturn is currently in Pisces, we are also dealing with intuition and spiritual growth. So now, after the period of the retrograde motion, Saturn is saying, okay, what have you learned? Let's apply it. Let's apply the learnings. And often what we find is that in the beginning, when we start applying, or we try to apply the learnings, we have some growing pains. There are things that are not really in place because we are not used to doing things in this way. We are used to different structures. We are used to different boundaries. And you have to be really strong here and not fall back into those old structures, into those old boundaries. So there is a practicing phase. Usually the first month, we kind of like trying to find our footing here. And we're also trying to find our footing when it comes to the spiritual growth that we've undergone and the connection to our intuitive knowing. Sometimes this can be very tricky to bring together that boundaried and disciplinarian energy with that intuitive knowing. But when you understand it, when you get it, right? Not just here, but when you get it in a more physical sense, you will actually realize that this is all you need in life to get where you want to go. You need the discipline, the structures, the boundaries, and you need that connection to that higher self. These two together will take you any and everywhere in this life. So if I'd be you, what would I do now? Well, I would first of all review the past 5 months. And when I do this for my life, we've gone far. We've came a long way, a very long way. It's almost like I don't recognize that woman from 5 months ago. I think this, for me, has been one of the most memorable Saturn retrograde. I focus on Saturn here because I'm a Pisces with 3 personal planets in Pisces. So Saturn has done a lot of work here. Saturn has really challenged me in the past year. We've been going through it. And by we, I mean Saturn and I. And I have to say this retrograde was hard for me, but it was also probably the most rewarding I can remember. I think you can say that. It was very rewarding. But again, this is probably not the case for everyone in the same way. If you are Pisces, you might be able to relate. The Pisces energy has been undergoing quite some turmoils. There's been a lot going on. A lot was brought up, and the reminder in terms of reconnecting to your spiritual self and utilizing your spiritual essence to get somewhere in life not just the doing and the structuring and all that stuff, but that spiritual essence, that connecting that with the structures and with the strategy and whatever we utilize in this 3D reality, that is the key. And I think I've really understood that for myself, for my life. Let's look at the themes here a little more. So I have a blog post about this, by the way, so I'm looking at this right now. I will link the blog post in the description below. So the first theme I see here, or I've seen, is what we just talked about, spiritual commitment. But this can look different for you than it does for me, or your mother, or your father. But with Saturn and Pisces, we're all reminded that the connection to our spiritual self is important in this lifetime. I'm not talking about religion here. It is not so much related to a dogma, like a religious dogma, but that deep knowing within you that you're part of something greater, and that something greater is within you, and you got to tap into it to really feel truly connected, to feel connected to the planet you live on, but also to the universe you live in. And Pisces is boundless by nature, but Saturn is the boundary and the structure and the discipline. And with Saturn now moving forward in Pisces, we are encouraged to be committed to our spiritual growth and our spiritual practice, whatever that practice is. This could be a meditation, this could be a walk, this could be you reconnecting with your partner on a different level, and making this a habit, a practice, a new way of being together. The second theme here is setting boundaries, important, but with compassion, right? So we're bringing Saturn and Pisces together. So you've undergone a lot of restructuring internally. Now it's time to apply it in the external, and doing that with true compassion for yourself, but also for the other. That is key. And that can sometimes be a bit difficult as well. That's where I said earlier, there are the growing pains, and there's a trial and error phase probably coming in the next few weeks. Now, the third one, my favorite, is grounding your dreams in reality. Again, you've undergone the restructuring necessary to be ready for that, right? Because again, it's an internal job first, because we need to embody what we then live. If you just live from the mental plane, you will never really feel truly secure in this world, because you will all be up here in the air. You might be able to, or your ego might be able to tell you that, you're the man or the woman and you can do it and it's all good. But if it's not embodied, sooner or later, you will stumble and fall. So the embodiment is really important here to make your dreams a reality. So now it's time to take concrete action, right? Saturn direct concrete action on our goals, our spiritual evolution. So again, utilizing that spiritual part of you is key here. If you are not, because we are in Pisces, Saturn is in Pisces. Saturn and Pisces can't do anything without it. So knowing your dreams, having restructured internally, being ready. You might not 100% feel ready yet, right? It's a process. We need to allow the process to unfold. But again, taking the first action step is important, because if you don't take the first, you will never take the second. And you might still be scared. You might still feel like, oh, is it really working? But again, practicing. The fourth one would be healing through structure, making a plan. Making a plan to heal whatever needs to be healed. I very much know what that is for me. It is a very physical situation that I'm dealing with, or I have been dealing with. So I've been really utilizing that Saturn energy in Pisces in the past 1.5 years for that. And I've been making a lot of progress. And I continue, and I'm planning on continuing making progress. But I do have a plan, and that plan is, for me, is not something that I have clearly written out with like step by step by step. If that's your jam, feel free to do that. It's not mine. It's not my Piscean. My Pisces energy is not functioning that way. But I have that wider view, that wider lens, and within that I have certain goalposts and I know where I'm going, and I take action daily because I know I've decided what those actions are, and those actions are also evolving, right? When I started it, I decided this is the action, this is the action, that is the action, and then on the way I adjusted certain actions. So now let's talk about what this means for your rising sign. We'll make this really quick. So Aries rising. So for you, this means focusing on releasing outdated past patterns in your life. We talk general, but we also talk about spiritual. Maybe you've been someone that neglected the spiritual growth a little bit, the spiritual understanding, the spiritual practice. And you've been realizing, well, this was actually not serving me. I need that in my life to grow in all areas, because we do need that to grow in all areas. What goes with it is like creating a spiritual practice that grounds you, right? But especially as an Aries, you got to be grounded in, because Aries are more often than not, always on, and everything is fast and quick. But with the spiritual practice, we need more grounding, right? We need to feel more settled. And that is something that you are advised to apply going forward. Taurus rising. Now you might, my lovelies, you might find yourself being more committed to moving towards your hopes and dreams. And what I mean by that is like the legacy that you are building. And that could come in all shapes, forms, and sizes. This could include your children, what you want to leave behind for your children. This could include you wanting to give back to your community, to the people. Could be you committing deeper to your friendships, or even humanitarian causes. This could also be a thing. But I often see this when everything that comes to the 11th house having to do with legacy work. And for some people, this is a very clear legacy work. This is very structured. And for others, it's more like undefined, but there's still a moving towards that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're thinking about what happens when you left this planet, right? Not necessarily that, but you know, what do you do with this time that you have on this planet? Yes, you want to build something, and you know, you have a purpose, you want to grow, but what do you then do with that growth, all that stuff that you accumulated? And I'm not just talking about the things you accumulated, but also the wisdom, the knowledge that you accumulated. You know, how do you apply that? What are you going to do with it? How does the world, or just the people around you, benefit from it? Then Gemini rising, your career and your public life may take a more compassionate tone here. And you may be more drawn to work that aligns with that deeper calling within you, and that core essence. You know, that thing that you want to give, that thing that you know you are here to create. You might, or you're encouraged to take action towards that. Then Cancer rising, you could embark on an educational journey here. And this educational journey could take you either back to university or out there into the world. Maybe you're traveling the 7 seas. This could also relate to a religion that you might want to explore. Maybe you want to rediscover your own religion. Maybe you're open to discovering a new religion. But this is really about growing and expanding the mind. It's all about developing a more structured approach to growing and learning. Then Leo and Leo rising, for you, my lovely Leos, this is all about setting healthy boundaries around emotional sharing. And I know this is a bit of a mouthful, but what I mean here is This is happening for you in the 8th house, and the 8th house is where we do the deeper work, where we go down the rabbit hole, where we do inner child work, but it also relates to the finances. Finances in the broader sense, finances that come in through our partner maybe, or an inheritance, but this is also money that goes out to the state, to the taxman, that all comes in here as well. And redefining boundaries in this area is really important. And also financially, you know, boundaries, structures, restructuring, new channels for financial growth. Maybe you want to do that with your partner, looking at what that means for you and your partner in the relationship going forward. What are you growing? How are you growing financially together? How does that look like for you in a way where you feel good about it and your partner also feels good about it? Virgo and Virgo rising, for you, my lovely Virgos, this is a 7th house transit, and this is about deepening partnerships. I bet you've gone through a lot of hoops, ups and downs in your partnerships, and this doesn't necessarily just mean your partner in marriage or your romantic partner. This can also relate to a business partnership. This can relate to like people very close to you, close friends that you have a one-on-one relationship with. And like I said, there was probably a lot of, there might have been a few changes, and you've been really reviewing what will work for you going forward. So you take action when it comes to setting boundaries in relationships, and you do that with compassion, right? It's not about like, I don't like you anymore, go away. It's the boundaries that you make clear in a very compassionate way through conversations, through, you know, showing up in that compassionate way. The second thing I want to say here, this is about also being realistic, right? Like we often forget that when it comes to Pisces. Pisces doesn't really like to be realistic, but Saturn very much Saturn is very much the realist, right? So it's what makes life real. It's about setting realistic expectations in relationships, but still being open to seeing other ways, seeing other opportunities, seeing other perspectives, but staying true to yourself. And you know you want the same from your partner, and then you come together from that place. Then Libra rising, for you, this is a 6th house transit. This is about restructuring your day-to-day routines and now taking the first action steps towards that. Also taking action when it comes to your health. You know, that could be as simple as going to the doctor, or you know, taking your supplements more regularly, having a new fitness routine, yoga routine, something along those lines. Yoga feels quite right here, right? We are talking about Pisces and we're talking about Saturn. I think that implementing a new yoga routine could be a very beautiful way forward when it comes to your health. Because health is not just physical, health is also emotional and mental. And yoga, you know, brings all the three together. Then what are we having? Then Scorpio rising, for you, my lovelies, this is a 5th house transit. We are talking creativity, creative self-expression, romantic endeavors. All these areas need nurturing, action. What action can you take now when it comes to these areas? Your creativity, your creative self-expression, the way you shine your light into the world, but then also, you know, your romantic life. You know, do you need to ask someone out? Where do you have to take action, new action, restructured action in those areas? Then Sagittarius rising, for you, this is a 4th house transit. Your family, your home life probably now needs to be restructured in the physical, not just in your mind. Taking action steps, how could that look like for you? Maybe you want to move your family somewhere, to a new house, to a new apartment. Maybe someone needs to move out of your home. Maybe you actually just need to restructure the home, understanding your family life better Remember, we are talking about karmic lessons here as well. What have you learned throughout that retrograde about your family tree, your family structure? Where do you need to realign to have a healthier connection with your family? Then Capricorn rising, for you, we're talking communication, learning, probably also inner child healing, because the third house is, I relate the third house very much to that part of us that is deeply conditioned, because this is an area that relates to early to early learning, early learning. And this is not just the conditioning through our parents or caregivers, but this is also conditioning through schooling. Where do you have to restructure your life based on that? This could also relate to your environment, the environment you live in. Maybe you need to change your environment, your social circle. This is also an area that relates to our immediate family, our siblings, aunts, uncles. Maybe there is some restructuring needed in that area. Then Aquarius, for you, we're talking about the second house. So your financial goals and your personal values will take center stage here. What do you need to take action on when it comes to this? I would say this is probably a time to stabilize your income, and you got to take action on that. What needs to be done to be more stable in that regard, and committing to what truly matters to you. What truly matters to you, not what matters to Tom, Dick, and Harry, aka society, but what matters to you, what is important to you in your life. Remember, the second house is very much related to the 10th house as well, and the 6th house, right? This is like our purpose axis, where we really understand what our purpose is, why we are here, what we're here for, what we want to experience, but also what we want to bring to the world. Last but not least, Pisces and Pisces rising. This is a first house transit for you. So personal development and self-image are highlighted. That means you've probably been going through a deep restructuring internally when it comes to who you are and who you show up as. This is probably also a physical change. Maybe you've cut your hair, new clothes, new style, new showing up in a new way. I can see that very, very strongly for you. And then also when it comes to your identity, right, it kind of goes with it, right? It's a big identity shift, and that you now apply in the external. You're already feeling it very much within you, but now it is also showing up as. And that sometimes it takes a moment, right? We need to find our footing as this new version, that new version self. But again, continuous action every day, doing things continuously in the new way, the new you will then make sure you are also showing up as the new you, and it will become like, second nature or first nature. So last but not least, final thoughts. This transit is basically a blend of structure with intuition. And I think I said this in the beginning. This is where it's at for us in this life, and this pretty much sums up life on this planet, this 3D reality we live in. The structures, the boundaries, the discipline, the physicality, the doing with the intuition, right? That being tapped in, being turned on, that will get you where you want to go. The connecting that action part with the intuition part. And that's where we'll leave it. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. If you want a personal reading, you know what to do. Click on the link in the description box and you can book your reading. And yeah, anything else, I'm here for you. I will see you in the next video.